This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Hey guys, welcome to the Faves of Our Lives. I'm Kelly and your other host is Brittany.
Hi guys.
Today our friend Abby is back.
Hi!
I don't know if you guys remember, but she was our very first guest ever. Have you ever felt like it wasn't your day, your week, your month, or even your year? I know I have, but one thing that always makes me feel better is knowing that my friends are there for me. Speaking of friends, today we are talking about a group of 6 friends.
That's right, we're talking about the show Friends. It premiered September 22nd, 1994. It ran for 10 seasons and 236 episodes. It starred Jennifer Aniston as Rachel Green, Courtney Cox as Monica Geller, Lisa Kudrow as Phoebe Buffay, Matt LeBlanc as Joey Tribbiani, Matthew Perry as Chandler Bing, and David Schwimmer as Dr. Ross Geller. And the show features 6 20-something-year-olds living off of one another in the heart of New York City. Over the course of 10 years, this average group of buddies goes through massive mayhem, family trouble, past and future romances, fights, laughs, tears, and surprises as they learn what it really means to be a friend. And the first episode that we're talking about today is actually Abby's favorite episode. It's from Season 1, Episode 7, The One with the Blackout. This episode starts by a power outage through all of New York City. Chandler gets stuck in a bank vestibule with a Victoria's Secret model, and the rest of the gang kind of rides it out in Monica's apartment. So, Abby, do you want to start talking about this episode since it's your favorite?
Okay, so this one is my favorite because the way Chandler acts in the vestibule is hysterical. All of his internal thoughts that he goes through, it's just what everybody else feels when they're having a relationship situation, you know? And the commentary between Ross and Rachel when he's trying to talk to her about maybe getting together and asking her out on a date, and then the cat jumps on his shoulders. It's the whole episode is just gold.
Yeah, so the episode starts with everybody but Chandler at Central Perk, and Phoebe is about to play a song, and she says, okay, so I'm going to sing a song for you guys, and the power immediately goes out, and she says, okay, thank you very much.
Good timing.
So then we see Chandler in the bank, and he's getting ready to walk out, and the power goes out, which I guess it trips some type of alarm that locks the people in the bank. I'm assuming in case there's a bank robbery that has something to do with them shutting the power down.
Maybe? I don't know. It wouldn't have been as funny if he could walk out.
Right. But I've never heard of that.
I hadn't either.
I assume it's a real thing. But
it would make sense.
Or maybe it's so, like, people can't come in when the power's off and mess with the ATMs because the camera won't be working on it.
That's a good point, too.
I have no idea. I don't know how things work.
If anybody knows, enlighten us.
Has anybody seen the movie ATM?
No. Wait, is that the one with, what's his face?
Sure. They're not trapped in the ATM vestibule, but they are because they can't go out because there's, like, a crazy person.
No, I don't know that one.
Messing with them. It's, don't watch it.
Okay. So we see Chandler stuck in the ATM vestibule, and he is with Jill Goodacre.
Yes, Jill Goodacre.
She is a Victoria's Secret model. I do not know her, but she's a real person, right?
I would think she is, and I think it was, a model from, like, the early 90s, so we probably wouldn't really remember that as much.
I think she is, because, like, in the credits, she plays herself.
Okay. So, yes, she's a real person. We fact-checked that in real time for you guys. So we go to Monica's apartment where everyone is sitting around. They have candles everywhere. They are just talking at first, and they decide that they're going to play a game. And the game is to name the strangest place that you've ever had sex. And this was actually my favorite part of this episode. Because their responses were just hysterical.
Whose was your favorite?
My favorite was definitely Phoebe's response. Because after Joey says that he had sex in the women's restroom at the public library, Monica makes a comment, "You were in a library?" That was funny too. But
yes.
Directly following that, they look at Phoebe and say, "Phoebe, where's the strangest place you've ever had sex?" And she just says, "Milwaukee."
And then they just move on. Nobody says anything after
No.
that.
I like how when it was Rachel's turn, she was like, "Oh, I already went."
Trying to avoid it.
I'm pretty sure she didn't, but she was just trying to get out of it.
And her response was, "The foot of the bed."
So exotic.
Yeah.
So yeah, that whole scene just had me laughing, especially since Phoebe said Milwaukee. I kind of...
I know. I laughed pretty hard at that, too.
Yeah.
Just like, what happened to Milwaukee? I need more answers on that. What happened to Milwaukee?
Yeah. But you always get that from Phoebe. It's always just short and sweet, but it leaves you wanting more.
Exactly.
So during all of this, Chandler is obviously still in the vestibule, and Jill is calling someone to let them know where she's at, and she makes the comment that no, she's not by herself, there's another man there. And for whatever reason, Chandler thinks that this is a compliment. Maybe
She
just
says some guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm some guy."
okay, yeah. But he acts like that's the biggest compliment to him, and he does this weird strutting up to her, and the entire time I'm thinking, he's actually pretty cute in this scene. Matthew
Yeah.
Perry
Yes,
is. I mean, he's an
agreed.
adorable guy, but regardless of how adorable he is, if he came walking up to me like he walks up to her, I would think he was a complete freak.
Yeah.
I like a little bit after that when he's talking to himself and he's like, just do something, just smile at her. And he just smiles, and then she smiles back, but then it gets creepy, so he's like, oh shit.
Yeah. And then when she offers him gum and he says, "Is it sugar-free?" She says, no thanks then. He's just really awkward, and because we're getting the internal monologue and because we know him, it's adorable, but I'm just imagining myself in her position.
Yeah, who asks if it's sugar-free? Like,
After she gets off the phone, she asks him if he wants to make a phone call, and he says yes. So he calls Monica's apartment. I'm assuming that he just knows that they're all there because that's where they typically hang out. And he calls, and he's mumbling to Monica that he's stuck in the ATM vestibule with Jill Goodacre, and
it's the best.
yeah, she does not understand him at all. So he says, "Put Joey on the phone." And Joey gets on the phone, and he does the exact same thing, and Joey immediately knows what he's saying. So then he starts mumbling back to Chandler.
But why?
Because it's Joey.
There's no reason to mumble back.
And I also don't understand why Chandler is mumbling in the first place.
He doesn't want her to hear him, but she can obviously hear him, and it makes him even weirder.
Right. It's like he doesn't say anything out of line or, anything like that. So it just seemed weird, the whole mumbling.
But it's so good because Joey understood him immediately. So there's just that friendship right there that you see right in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like how we can make a face at each other and know exactly what we're thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, we do that a lot at work.
Yeah. This might be a stupid question, but how is the phone at Monica's house working?
That was my question the entire time. I even asked Steve just tonight while I was watching it. I was like, when the power goes out, the phone goes out too, right? And he was like, yeah, there's no power to it. And I was like, okay, then this whole thing is made up because...
Was it a cordless phone?
No.
Well, then it would still work.
Oh.
Cordless phones do not work because of the way that they're hooked up, but, where I used to live, if the electric went out, the phone would still work.
Really?
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I always had cordless phones then. I don't know.
I don't know either. And maybe it depends on where you're at.
I, assume the opposite, because a cordless phone, the cordless part might still have a charge.
Yeah, but I think it has something to do with the signal from the base.
Okay.
Whereas a corded phone is hooked directly to the phone line and directly to the receiver.
But when the phone lines go out, or is that completely separate? Phone lines and electric lines are completely separate?
I'm not an expert at this or anything. I vividly remember when I was younger that the electric would go out and my dad would get on the corded phone and call down the street to my aunt and uncles and ask if they had power.
Interesting.
I think in a way cell phones are making us stupid.
Right. Well, and that takes me to my next point. There is another part of the episode where Phoebe wants to call home to check on her grandma to her home, and she asks Monica, "What's my phone number?" And Monica looks at her like she's completely crazy, and she says, "Well, I never call myself." Right. And all I kept thinking was, I know that's supposed to make Phoebe seem quirky or strange, but that's not uncommon now.
No, I never remember my own
How
phone
do you
number.
give your phone number out if you don't know it?
They have business cards, Kelly.
You just call them and say, "Save my number."
You can send them a text message, and you can literally send them contact.
That's true. I know my phone number, though.
I do, too.
Steve just learned mine the other day.
I remember my very first phone number ever, at the first house I lived at.
I don't.
I don't think I do either.
Well, my mom taught it to me as a song, so I just remember it.
I remember my last home phone number, but not my first one. After having the "Where's the Strangest Place You've Ever Had Sex" game, Ross and Rachel are having a conversation because Rachel is explaining to him why the weirdest place that she ever had sex was the foot of the bed. And it's because she's never had that type of passion with someone where you're out somewhere and you just have to be together. And she's basically saying, "Is something wrong with me?" So Ross, because everyone knows Ross is in love with Rachel, he's talking to her and he tells her, you will find this passion. At some point in your life, it will happen for you. And she says, "Thanks so much, Ross." And she stands up, and she does this cute thing where she kind of bops him on the head, and he takes that as kind of a friend nudge. So he gets up to follow her out onto the balcony. And Joey stops him and says, "Never gonna happen." So Ross is asking him why, and that's when Joey brings up that he's already in the friend zone. And there are a lot of references in this show that when I hear them, it's is this what created this term?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I thought that too.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know either. Because, I was so young when this came out, I obviously hadn't heard of it.
Maybe in our generation.
Yeah, it was probably called something different before that.
Yeah. Ross goes out to talk to Rachel on the balcony, and he's just gonna go for it, because Joey has talked to him and told him, if you do not make your move, you will indefinitely be in the friend zone. And so he says, "I think that you know what I'm gonna say." And Rachel goes, "Oh," and he thinks it's in reference to him, but there's an adorable orange tabby cat on the wall.
Which is exactly what I would have done.
Yeah.
So he turns around, and the cat immediately jumps on his back and starts attacking him. And it goes to the inside of the apartment, and you just see him out on the balcony with this cat.
I think that might be one of my favorite scenes in the episode, actually.
Yeah.
Minus, Chandler in the vestibule. That's still the best part of the
Right.
episode. But seeing him go across the window with the cat on his shoulders is just so
Yeah,
good.
that was one of my favorite parts too, because he's screaming and everything, but you can't hear anything because he's outside and you just see him flailing around. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, and I forgot to mention that before this happens, Monica was going to go out onto the balcony, and Joey keeps her inside by saying that Ross is planning her a surprise birthday party.
Right.
And so Phoebe comes in and she says, "Oh, what do you mean, a surprise party?" And Monica says, "You don't have to pretend, Phoebe. Joey already told me." And she says, "Why am I always the last to know everything?"
That comes in later on
Yes,
in the
it
episode,
does.
too. I also like the song that they're singing on the guitar while all of the cat stuff is happening.
Yeah. Actually, I put a note in this part that said that I feel like Phoebe was Taylor Swift's inspiration.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying that she really was her inspiration.
No.
So is the other thing made up too?
Yes.
Oh, man. I thought those were both true.
No, those are completely made up facts that my brain just went there.
Well, they're both really good. We'll get to the other one later.
I just feel like Phoebe Buffay was like that generation's songwriter.
Yeah, I love Smelly Cat.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best. Absolutely the best.
And Taylor Swift is also a cat lover, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, I can see that.
A lot of similarities.
well, I'll try to get a hold of Taylor and
Yeah,
let you know.
Somebody-
Yeah, call her up.
I mean, she is my favorite person
Yeah.
in the world, so.
Is she on Twitter?
She is on Twitter. We gotta get her listening to our
Yeah.
podcast.
At least maybe she can confirm this.
That's all I ask.
So we're back to the ATM vestibule. Chandler has his gum.
Oh my god.
Oh, no, wait. But before he has his gum, he second thinks saying no because it's sugar-free and says, on second thought, gum would be perfection.
Oh, yes.
And then the inner monologue happens and he goes, no, it wouldn't be just fine or okay. It was, in your mind, it's perfection.
Yeah, so he has the gum. He's trying to figure out, I guess, how to bring it around to where she doesn't view him as the complete freak that he's acting like. And so he decides to blow a bubble to show off his boyish charm. And when he goes to blow the bubble, he just spits the gum straight up into the air. And it flops down onto the desk.
With a line of like 7 other gums.
And that's the worst part, is he says internally, just pick it up. It'll be fine. She won't even notice. And he picks it up, but he doesn't pick up his gum. And I don't know. I don't know why he would pick it up in the first place. Whether it was his gum.
Make it nonchalant. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it hit that table. That's disgusting.
Oh, but then the thought of chewing somebody else's gum really makes me want to
yeah.
throw up.
It's 10 times worse, don't get me wrong, but I still would not have put that gum in my mouth if it was mine.
So good. So good. Just the comedic atmosphere in that episode is just so good.
We cut to Rachel wanting to find the owner of this cat that was out on the balcony. And Phoebe offers to help. Ross doesn't care what happens to the cat because he's Ross. And they go door to door asking people, is this your cat? And they go to Mr. Heckle's apartment, which he's a recurring neighbor that you hear more from. And he says, yeah, it's my cat. And you know immediately that it's not.
And he says his name is Bob Butts.
Buttons.
Oh, I
Bob
thought he
Buttons.
said Bob Butts.
I think that he says that, but then they finish it for him, and he's like, yeah, Bob Buttons.
Oh my gosh.
I'm totally naming a cat Bob Buttons the next time I have a cat.
But I also love the cat is legit scratching the hell out of Phoebe, trying to get away, and she's like, this cat hates you.
She's like, you're a bad, bad man.
So they run after him, and he runs to an apartment of a guy named Paolo. And Rachel follows him and finds this guy petting the cat. And this is what Kelly is referring to. Because I said, the guy looks like Antonio Banderas, and the cat looks like Puss in Boots. So this must be the inspiration for that movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Kelly, I'm very sorry that is not a fact.
Okay, well, the way that you wrote it was definitive.
Factual.
So
I'm really sorry.
it's okay. I'm very gullible, which is why I'm a little afraid for tomorrow. I hate tomorrow.
I feel like that could actually be true, though.
Yeah, it could be.
For our listeners, tomorrow is April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I was wondering what she was talking
Well,
about.
and this will come out much later than that, so...
Yeah, but I fall for everything, so...
Well, don't worry. I won't put out a pregnancy announcement or
Yeah.
anything.
We come back to this all the time, Kelly. It's because you're a rose.
I know.
You're a rose. What does that
The
mean?
Golden Girls.
Girls.
Oh, yes. I get it.
I'm beautiful like a flower, Abby.
Well, obviously. I knew that.
Yeah, so Rachel brings Paolo, the owner of the cat, back to Monica's apartment, and she obviously is feeling this passion that she was talking to Ross about earlier that she was lacking. And Paolo is Italian, and he speaks in an accent. A lot of times, actually, he's speaking in Italian. So Joey and Ross hate him immediately.
Mostly Ross. Joey should like him because Joey's Italian himself.
But I think that that's the problem. There's only room for one Italian stallion.
Well, that is true. That is true.
And I might add, Joey doesn't have anything to worry about because other than the accent, the guy's got nothing on him.
Yeah.
True. It's very true.
But this is one of the things that I'm just going to put it out there. I don't like Ross.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but every episode that I watch, he does something that annoys me.
He's one of those whiny characters we talked about.
That's true, yeah.
But he has his moments in each episode, I feel.
He does have his moments, and that's why I won't say, like, I just don't like that character, but
It's not as bad as Ted in How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, Ted.
No, but, I mean, I'm not even one of those people that, like, yes, I think that Ross and Rachel should have ended up together. That was the main relationship of the show. And,
Right.
I mean, from the very first episode, you knew that this was going to play a big part in the show. And so, yeah, obviously, they were supposed to be together. But I just think that Ross had a lot of growing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm going with this is he has a conversation with Paolo where he says, you know, Rachel and I, we're a thing. Basically telling him to back off, which is completely out of line because they are not a thing.
And he says, like, what I always say. He's like, oh, you're doing the sex?
Yeah. Just like the June bugs.
Yeah.
Damn June bugs.
And he's like, no, but I want to.
Yeah.
My favorite part when he's communicating with him is at the end when he's like, do you know the term crap weasel? And Paolo's like, no, I don't understand. And Ross is like, oh, great. Well, you're a big crap weasel.
That is such an insult.
And he thanks him.
I do kind of feel bad for Ross because it's like Rachel is out in the world for 2 seconds in a power outage and she finds some guy.
True, but have you seen Rachel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's gorgeous.
That's true.
She is my female
Yeah,
crush.
she is a gorgeous
And
woman.
she, like, is one of those people that has not aged at all.
No.
Not at all. I hate her.
So, finally, Chandler and Jill are getting along. And it's actually pretty cute. They're playing this game where they're sitting under the bank desk and the pins that are on the chains are hanging down. And Jill kind of tosses it and she's moving her head around to where the pin is going around her head. Chandler tries it. And
He just whips it.
it's extremely dangerous, but it's endearing, and Jill thinks that it's cute. So we flash back to the apartment. The very last candle is burning out, and Phoebe is deciding to count down. I can't even remember the number that she starts at.
It was like, well, it was like
10, yeah. And then it cuts out and comes back, and she's at like negative 47, and someone just blows the candle out.
Joey does. He just blows it out, and everyone's like, thank you.
But then the power comes back on, and when the power comes back on...
Oh, but before the power comes on, they're all doing their evil laughs.
Right, yeah.
Right? And so when the power comes back on, Ross is right in the middle of his evil laugh, and it cues to Paolo and Rachel kissing. But my favorite part of that is Ross, who looks like a grizzly bear behind him, like trying to do his evil laugh.
Yeah, and then he looks over and he just goes, oh!
Okay, but they were not just kissing. They were like hardcore making out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Joey leans over and says, "Sorry, buddy, this may not be the best time, but you have to plan a surprise party for Monica." And I said that I thought that this timing was, wait for it, perfection.
Yes. Yes, the whole episode was perfection.
And Chandler is at the bank, and the power comes back on, so he and Jill can leave. Jill thanks him for keeping her company, and kisses him on the cheek, and walks out. And Chandler immediately looks at the surveillance camera, gives it his name and his address, and said, "Can you please send me a copy of the surveillance tape?"
Well, yes, because in the beginning of the episode, she asks if he wants to call anybody, and he says, yeah, about 300 of my high school
Right,
friends.
I'm sure he's really thinking that right now. Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up that episode. I did have a note in here. The podcast Massive Late Fee actually did a really good interview with Larry Hankin. He's the guy who plays Mr. Heckle. And he was like a big character on Seinfeld as well, and a few other shows. And it was a really interesting...
Who did he play on Seinfeld?
I cannot remember right now.
Like, I vaguely remember his face,
Right.
but...
And it's because he's been in a lot of sitcoms, just,
Right.
a few episodes. And that's basically what they were asking him about. It was just a really good interview, so if any of our listeners are wanting to learn more about that actor and the roles that he plays, that podcast, again, is Massive Late Fee. And the next episode that we're talking about is called The One with the Football. It's from Season 3, Episode 9. This episode starts with Monica making Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone is waiting around and they're kind of bored, so they bring up going to the park and playing football. And Ross and Monica say they're not allowed to play football because when they were young, they used to play football all the time and they would compete for what was called the Geller Cup. Monica broke Ross's nose, so they were never allowed to play again. Needless to say, they end up playing again, and I won't give away too much more before we start talking about it. So, Kelly, do you want to start us off with this one?
Yeah. My first note was about how when they're saying they're not allowed to play football, and somebody's like, "Oh, what, did your mommy tell you you're not allowed to play?" And they're like, "Actually, yes." Our parents, said we could never play football again because we were too competitive for the Geller Cup. And then they all decide they're going to go play football at the park. And Chandler says, "How are we going to get to the park? My mom won't let me cross the street."
Yeah, it was a really good line.
And then the part that it was funny, but it rubbed me the wrong way, is how Chandler and Joey are arguing over that woman at the park. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Oh, I get her," or "You get her," or "You can have her." I hate when shows and movies do that. She's a human being. Just because she's a woman doesn't mean she can't make her own decision.
Yeah, and especially around this time period of television shows, that happen a lot.
Yeah, but the stuff that they're doing is funny while they're arguing over her.
My question is, why is she just randomly in heels and a skirt in the middle of a park on Thanksgiving?
I have no idea.
I felt like she was just really out of place to begin with.
Yeah, and that's a good point because, at the end of the episode, it starts snowing. It is not a weather-appropriate outfit.
Right. I mean, she had tights on, but still.
Yeah, and then, when they were almost done playing, she was like, "Oh, we go eat now," or whatever. Oh, I guess they invited her to dinner?
I guess. We never saw that.
Or she invited herself.
Or she just, was a random hooker that was trying to get some.
I don't know. Yeah, so also Monica starting to make dinner really cracked me up because one of my favorite parts about this entire series is Monica being such a control freak.
Oh, thus starts the Monica control freak.
Yes. I don't know why. I really want to say that Monica might be my favorite character because she seems normal, especially when the series starts. She seems like the most well-grounded friend of the group. But little by little, you start to see parts of her that it's just insane.
My favorite is later on in the episodes, or the series, when Chandler goes to open up the closet that they have.
Oh, yes.
And he opens it up and it's just chaos. Because everything is so neat with her, and then the closet is just chaos. And she just closes the door and says, nobody will ever see this.
Yeah, so she's making dinner, and you kind of see the control freak. Rachel ends up shoving a marshmallow up her nose while they're baking yams.
Oh, because she tells her she has to put them in concentric circles.
Yes.
So, that's a great friend thing to do. Just shove a marshmallow up somebody's nose.
And Joey is telling Chandler that he needs to get over his breakup with Janice, and he needs to set some goals. And he says, I have goals. My goal for today was to sit in my bathrobe and get drunk all day. And that's how I would like to spend my Thanksgivings, too, if I'm being honest.
Always. Always.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they decide to go play football, even after Monica and Ross state that they're not allowed to because Monica broke Ross's nose. It's because it leads into this whole argument of Monica says that she won the game. And Ross says, no, you didn't win the game because you got disqualified for breaking my nose. And she said, I won that game. And he says, no, if you did, you would have the Geller Cup. Dad threw the Geller Cup into the lake. So she basically tells him, I beat you then, and I could beat you now. Let's go prove it. So they go to the park. And Ross is a captain, Monica's a captain. Monica picks first. She picks Joey. Rachel is really offended by this because she is Monica's best friend. Ross said, it's okay, honey. You'll get picked. And immediately picks Chandler. Again, she's offended. She obviously is going to get picked last. Monica picks Phoebe. Ross says, see, honey, it's fine. Now I pick you. And she said, you don't pick me. You're stuck with me. So we find out Phoebe knows nothing about football. She's really excited to be...
But I love her shirt.
Oh,
can we just talk about her
yes,
shirt
I
for a
noticed
second?
that too. That girl...
Yes! It reminds me of that character on, what's that, Bob's Burgers or whatever?
Linda?
Yes! Yeah. Does it not look
the
like
hair
that?
Definitely looks like that.
Yes! Yeah.
Did it say something, or it was just...
It just said that girl or something
yeah.
like that.
That girl was a television show.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. See,
and I
didn't know
can't
that.
remember the time frame. I'm thinking it was like 70s.
I would think 60s.
It might have been.
So I was Googling that guy, Larry Hankin, and I don't see who he was on Seinfeld, but he was on That Girl.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, at least in one episode. He was on a lot of stuff.
Right.
So he must have just been like a side character and everything.
Yeah. And that's kind of what they talked about in that he was also in a Clint Eastwood movie, and he was in a lot of stuff. You recognize his face, but
Yeah.
He
it's
was
hard to
in
pinpoint.
Laverne and Shirley, and he was in Alf.
I do love Laverne and Shirley.
We're doing Laverne and Shirley later on this season.
Yep.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be listening to that.
Yeah, so they're in the huddle. Phoebe is really excited that she's in her first huddle ever, and that Monica kind of lays out what football is and how to play, and she says something to Phoebe along the lines of, do you know what you're doing? And Phoebe says, yeah. So they go out and they run their first play. Phoebe does not know what she's doing. And Monica brings it up, and she says, Phoebe, I thought you said you knew what you were doing. And Phoebe says, I thought you meant in life.
Yes. That was a great line.
Yeah, that was my favorite line. Close second was when Phoebe catches the ball and screams, oh, broken boob.
Yes.
I feel bad for Rachel.
I do too, because Ross keeps telling her to go long.
I like the part where she goes long and gets a
Yeah,
pretzel.
he says, where did you get that? And she says, I went real long.
Mm-hmm. Well, because when he says go long, she says, well, how long?
Until we look really little.
So Monica's team is killing it. They're like 21 points ahead, I think. And Ross is really upset, and he makes the comment, well, the reason that you're winning is because you got to pick first, so you have the better team. And she said, "It has nothing to do with the better team, Ross. I just always beat you, and I'll prove it. I'll trade you, Rachel, for Joey." So it's girls against the boys. So Joey goes over to the guy's side, and they're talking about their next play, and Ross says, "Well, whatever it is, it's got to be good because we're down 21 points." And Joey says, "Oh, man, I was just up by that amount just a few seconds ago."
One of the best Joey lines.
He really did get the short end of the stick on that one. So then we cut to all of these hijinks between the friends, where the girls decide that the best way to win is to distract the guys. And Phoebe flashes Chandler, and he just stands there and giggles, and Monica takes the ball from him and gets a touchdown. That doesn't work for too long, though, because Chandler starts to cover his eyes, which cracks me up because Phoebe just runs after him with her boobs out.
Yes, and he runs into a tree.
I laughed pretty hard at that. There's one point where the girls are getting ready to get into a huddle, and Monica says something to Rachel about playing for their team, and Rachel says, "Oh, you're gonna let me play?" And Monica just says, "Okay, let's play," instead of answering her question.
Yeah, Rachel wasn't much help during the entire thing.
No. Phoebe's one tackle on Ross had me.
Yes.
Yeah. She just runs around him.
She spins in circles around him, and he's just standing like, what do I do?
So we come down to the last play. And is it a tie at this point?
I think they were down by 2.
Okay. Yes.
Somehow. I don't know how that would happen.
Well, because
considering they were counting 7-on-7 each time, I don't know.
Because Joey was able to score with all 3 women pulling him back. Do you guys remember that one? Rachel had him around the neck. Phoebe had a hold of Rachel pulling him, and Monica had a hold of and he still pulled all 3 of them across that goal line.
Yeah, but I still they're scoring. They counted 7 each time they got a touchdown, which technically a touchdown is 6 points. Plus the field goal is 7.
Yeah.
And then they were down by 2, so I don't know how that would have happened if they weren't doing field goals or anything. But either way.
So they were down by 2, and Rachel says, "Monica, let me do it. Just let me do something." And she said, "Okay, fine. You can throw the ball." So she's really excited. Monica hikes the ball to her. All of the guys come running at Rachel, and she runs completely off of the field around a chain link fence. So they huddle again. It's the last huddle, and Monica looks at Rachel and says, "Go long." So we obviously know Rachel is no longer a part. She just says, "Okay." So she tells Phoebe, "Get open. Just run out there, get open," and Rachel, "Go long." And she gets the ball. Phoebe is being covered by Joey and Chandler. Ross is coming at Monica. She throws the ball to Rachel in desperation, and Rachel catches it.
But Rachel forgets to run after she has catched it.
She is not in the end zone when she catches the ball. And so she spikes it out of celebration, and Chandler points that out. Except for the goalpost is right there. And so Monica and Ross dive for the ball because the play is still alive, and everybody else is like, "Just let them fight. It's fine."
I don't care anymore. I just want turkey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked how it cuts to them eating turkey, and they're like, "Should we go get them?" And they're like, "No, they'll come in when they're ready."
Mm-hmm. And they won't.
No.
They're laying out there when it starts snowing, still fighting over the football.
Also, I have an update. Apparently, I said it was a field goal, and it's actually called an extra point.
Oh, yes.
So just wanted to put that out there, so I had the correct terminology.
I thought it was called a field goal.
I don't know. Steve texted me and told me it was an extra point, not a field goal.
Field goal is when you're on 4th down and you haven't scored. You can kick it for 3.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
That is a field goal.
Extra point is after the touchdown.
Gotcha.
My bad. I played volleyball.
I used to understand football.
Then you had kids, and then you forgot.
I don't care anymore. I don't watch football.
I'm a huge football fan. I love football.
What's your team, Brittany?
Gators.
Yep. College, it's the Florida Gators.
Gators,
Yeah.
huh?
In terms of NFL is hard for me because I'm one of those...
Nobody actually cares.
All the Ohio teams suck.
Not so much right now,
Okay.
but...
Well, yeah, Browns just got... Who'd they get? Odell Beckham?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Bengals and a Reds girl, and they both always blow it at the end of the season.
Yes, they do.
buckle.
Yeah, you should be an Indians and a Browns. Well, the Browns suck, but you should at least be an Indians fan.
Or Ohio State. They're pretty good, but that's
No,
college.
nobody should like Ohio State.
Oh, okay. They suck.
Yes, agreed. Thank you.
Kelly, we are part of Michigan Sports and Entertainment.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Go blue.
Don't throw us off of the network.
It's a good thing you have a Michigan fan as your guest, then, because...
Yes.
Oh, I forgot you were a Michigan fan.
Yes, go blue.
Okay, blue and gold. Is it blue and
That's
gold
right.
or blue and yellow?
Well, it's maize,
Okay.
but either way, it's fine.
Maize and blue.
So we completely glossed over the fact that Chandler and Joey are fighting over this Dutch girl.
Right, yes, the
named
Dutch girl.
Marga.
Is that what her name was?
Yeah.
I watched the episode about 17 times, and I still never understood her name.
According to a synopsis on IMDb, it was Marga.
Okay.
Well, I always watch everything with subtitles.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
that is smart.
But they just go back and forth because Joey obviously has the looks on Chandler, at least as of right
And
now.
how you
Yeah.
doing?
And Chandler has the brains and the humor. So he kind of throws Joey a little bit under the bus, though, because he asks him, Joey, where is the Netherlands?
It's a tricky question if you don't know geography.
Right.
Which I don't.
I don't either,
No.
obviously.
But Joey's response was that it was a made-up place that Peter Pan lives.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so...
I like how Chandler ripped Joey's jersey, and he was like, but this was my favorite jersey. And he's like, well, now you have two.
And then he's like, oh wait, I am good at math.
And the woman ends up picking Chandler when Ross finally tells her that she has to because it's messing with the way that they're playing the game, because now they're on a team.
Right.
And so she picks Chandler. Chandler does this really weird dance and is like rubbing it in
So embarrassing.
rubbing it in Joey's face that he got picked, and she says, I would like to change my answer to nobody because now I think that you are mean and kind of a dork. So, yes, neither of them go home with the girl. So even though, like you said, Kelly, they are fighting over the girl, and that's kind of gross, at least at the end of the day.
She does make a decision.
Yep.
But I still don't understand why she was there in the first place.
I don't either.
Like, why go to a park with just a swing set
By yourself on
and
Thanksgiving.
nothing else? By yourself on Thanksgiving in heels and a skirt, like, and a leather jacket. Like, it's just weird.
Did she have a dog?
No, she didn't have anything
I thought
to
she
make
had
her
a dog
need to be
with
there.
her.
Nope.
Speaking of a dog, did I just hear a cat?
Yeah, that's
Aw.
mine. She's loud.
We have a special guest today.
Yeah, Kaori, she's a Siamese, and she likes to yell.
I thought I heard something earlier, but I was like, that sounds like a kid, but it's not one of my kids. And Brittany's kid is far away.
Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention. At the end of the episode, Phoebe and Rachel are talking about how much fun they had. And they said, is there a league that we can join or something? And the guys
Oh
are kind
my
of picking
gosh.
on them and says, yeah, there's a national football league. They play on Sundays and Monday nights. And Rachel goes, oh, I work on Monday nights.
That did make me
I
laugh.
just thought it was cute that she
But
was
also,
gonna
I was
play.
like, how can you be that oblivious? But, you know, it's City Girls, so...
So I did have a note on this episode. You guys may or may not know this, but is this during Matthew Perry's drug issues?
Yes.
Okay. Because he looks insanely skinny.
Yeah, you can tell in the couple seasons that he was during his drug situation when he is that skinny. Like,
Right.
She does have a dog.
she did have a dog? I don't remember her having a dog.
I don't either.
Because the other episodes, or like the other parts, she didn't have it.
I'm sending you a picture.
Okay.
Okay.
I just was checking because I was like, did I make that up? Sometimes I make things up in my head.
That makes more sense than why she was at the park.
It does.
I don't think she had the dog in every scene, but when she first walked up...
She didn't have it in any scene, as far as I remember.
She had it when they first walked up to her.
Okay. Yeah, they must have cut that dog out because I don't remember that ever.
Because you're never supposed to work with kids or animals in show business.
That dog's super cute, though.
Yeah.
A little scruffy guy.
Yeah, I didn't remember Matthew Perry being that skinny, and they
Yeah.
all look so young.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I know, and that's what I said to Steve later on tonight. I was like, man, I wish Courtney Cox wouldn't have done all the Botox and everything to her face because she was, like, gorgeous back then.
Mm-hmm. Except Jennifer Aniston, she still looks good.
Yeah, she's fucking amazing. I love her.
Lisa Kudrow still looks pretty good.
Yeah, she
too.
does. I also think that Courtney Cox decided to stop with the plastic surgery and had just let everything like
did.
absorb, and she looks a lot better since that.
She did. I actually recently started following her on Instagram, and she posted a thing where she said, I messed up and was insecure about my face, and that's why I did all this stuff to myself, and now I'm done, and all of this stuff. So she's trying to not do the plastic surgery stuff anymore, I guess, but yeah.
Well, I wonder what made her think that an aging woman in Hollywood had to do something to keep her face from wrinkling.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's crazy. Like, why
That
would
is
somebody have to do
crazy.
something in Hollywood to make yourselves look better?
Or anyone.
Yeah.
Not just Hollywood.
Our sarcasm is so thick right there. I couldn't even.
Lisa Kudrow was on Grace and Frankie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like her as an actress.
I do
She's
too.
I
been
do
in
too.
multiple things since Friends and everything that I've
I
seen
mean,
her
Romeo
in.
and Michelle's High School
Yeah.
Reunion is
Yeah.
probably the best movie I've ever seen in my life. So,
It's really good.
but yeah, she did kind of fall off the wagon there for a little bit. Oh, and she was in Easy A.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That was fantastic.
I saw that, but it was a long time ago. I saw it in the movie theater.
What?
Yeah.
I see it on like FX every other weekend.
Oh.
But yes. Anyway, back to Friends.
Yep. So we will move on to the next episode. This episode was one that we actually polled. This was the highest polled episode that we did. The one at the beach from season 3, episode 25. And this one, Phoebe finds a picture of her parents with one of their friends. She finds out that the friend's name was Phoebe. It was her mom's best friend, and so she wants to go talk to her and learn a little bit more about her family. So she takes all of them to a beach house so that she can be closer to this person. And Ross takes his girlfriend, but we later find out that Rachel also still has feelings for him. So it's a little bit of a back and forth. So, Abby, do you want to start off with some of your favorite parts of this one?
Well, okay, so backstory before this happened, I think it was an episode prior. Phoebe asks Rachel if it's okay if she introduces her friend Bonnie to Ross, and Rachel asks her, who is Bonnie? And she says, Bonnie, you know, my friend who's bald. And Rachel's like, yeah, okay, you can introduce a bald person to Ross. That's fine with me, you know? And it turns out when Bonnie actually gets introduced to Ross, she's not bald anymore. She's actually beautiful. And she's the actress who's Ben Stiller's wife in real life. I forget her name, but either way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she played Marsha Brady on the
I was trying so hard to figure out who she was because she looks so familiar.
Yeah, she was in Dodgeball and she played Marsha Brady and
Yeah.
Yeah,
she-
Dodgeball is
yes.
where I remembered her from.
Yeah, she's Ben Stiller's wife in real life. But anyway, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so Rachel sees her and she's like, no, I told you it was okay if she was bald. I don't think it's okay now. So anyway, they go to the beach and, yeah, we'll start from there. Anyway, she was invited to the beach. So we'll start from there.
Yes. So her name is Christine Taylor, by the way.
Oh, that's her actual
Yeah.
name? Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I loved her as Marcia in the Brady Bunch. So
I know, right? When she was like, oh, my nose.
the episode starts out, they are in Central Perk and they're having conversations, and I guess the conversation is basically all of the places that Bonnie has had sex.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and Rachel's extremely annoyed by it. I would be annoyed by it whether I had a crush on the woman's boyfriend or not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
annoying.
quite promiscuous, I guess, is the word I was looking for.
The guys love it, though.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Especially Joey.
So this is when Phoebe brings up that they're going to the beach. At this point, Bonnie says she can't go, or maybe she's going to meet them later on.
She had to work, so she was going to be late or something along those lines.
So it's just going to be the friends, and they end up going. They walk into the house, and I forgot about this part until I rewatched it, but the house is full of sand. The entire floor is nothing but sand.
That's so fun.
It's be the best house ever. It's like a
Yeah.
sand house inside your house.
I would love it.
Yes, I would too.
Okay, I know that I always try to get off topic, but when I was younger, this mall in Cincinnati used to make, like, the main area where they would have, like, shows and stuff on the bottom floor. They would make it into a giant sandbox.
That sounds
It
amazing.
was amazing.
I want to go.
I wish
Do they still do that?
No. The store,
Oh.
the mall's, like, abandoned, basically. Now there's, like, 2 stores.
Damn, Amazon.
I know. But it was great times.
Oh, a few things before we get to the beach. I'm doing a really bad job at the flow of the episodes, but this is another thing. Phoebe says something about this woman being her mom's BFF, and they said BFF, and she said, yeah, best friend forever. And it just made me think, did Phoebe create BFF?
I guess so. Like, why did nobody know that?
Right. So, I don't know when this term was first mentioned, but...
Also, before they got to the beach, can we just talk about Rachel's hat?
Yeah.
It was so big.
It was bigger than her body, I think.
The first time I came up here to the lake to visit Chad, like, and I hadn't seen him since high school, I wore a big ass sun hat.
Yeah, but nobody's worn a hat like hers.
No, it was not that big. This hat was outrageous even for me.
It's probably like a little bitty disc, like the size of a frisbee.
Yeah, I said that if anybody could make it work, though, it was Jennifer Aniston.
It's true, but it was still
She
a
didn't
ridiculous
quite
hat.
make
yeah.
it work, but she still looked pretty.
Well, I mean, her face is just you can't not look pretty.
Yeah. I also have in my note that Brad Pitt was a fucking idiot.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is for sure.
I mean, look at him now.
I know. I mean, don't get me wrong, Angelina Jolie is a pretty woman, but
Yeah, but they're
Yeah.
not together anymore, are
Well, that's
they?
what I was
No,
gonna say.
now he's single.
like
Yeah.
you knew you weren't going to hold her down. She's
So
Angelina
karma.
Jolie, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Aniston's way prettier than Angelina Jolie, in my opinion.
I don't know.
Big lips don't do it for me.
I think they're just pretty in different ways.
Different ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm just saying, like, it seemed like you had a good thing going with Jennifer Aniston. I don't know. I obviously am not part of that relationship, but
You're not?
no.
It's unfortunate.
But I just felt like those two went together better than Angelina
Agreed.
and Brad. But
They were the perfect picture couple on E.T. magazine.
It's all because of that movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I blame that.
Yep. Was that the movie
I think so.
that started it?
I think.
Or- I thought it was... Yeah, I think you're all right, actually. Unfortunate. Either way, I love Jennifer Aniston. She's my girl, so...
Yeah. If you want to come on our podcast, go ahead. She's not listening, but we'll have Jennifer
Hey,
Aniston
you don't know that.
and Jenna Fisher.
Yep.
Oh, Jenna Fisher's coming too?
Yeah.
We're going to invite her. I had to retract a statement that she would not come on the podcast because it came about that we didn't actually ask her. And I blamed her.
Because
Yeah.
apparently Chad told me not to.
Well, I am asking Jenna Fisher and Jennifer Aniston to come onto our podcast.
Okay. So now we are at the sand house. And they're all bored inside the house while Phoebe is talking to her mom's best friend. And Joey really badly wants to play strip poker. He is desperate.
Because what else is there to do?
And he's not insecure with his body, so what does he care? He just wants to see some boobs. Phoebe is at her mom's friend's house asking her about her parents, and she says, "I'm really sorry to hear about your mom. I haven't seen your dad in years." But Phoebe sees a picture hanging on the fridge that she thinks looks like what her dad would look like now. So she takes it. And she comes back to find them all still bored. And Rachel is painting the girl's toenails, and she asks Ross if she can paint his. And he says, "No, I'm not doing it." And she said, "You let me do it the one time," which of course all of the guys look at him like it's the weirdest thing in the world that he let Rachel paint his toenails. And so she starts chasing him, and she tackles him on the couch, and they're kind of holding each other, and
This
Yeah,
is
it's
like
just, like, a
such
really-
a teenage, like,
Yeah,
flirting
it's-
thing.
It's like such a cute little moment. Like,
Oh, I thought it was dumb. Sorry.
oh. No, I think it's like a cute little, like, hey, I'm a flirtatious type moment.
I'm okay with the flirtatious part of it, but like them staring lovingly into each other's eyes when everybody
Yeah,
else
that was
is
awkward.
around. I mean,
Awkward.
get a room. And then Bonnie walks in.
Even more awkward.
So she walks in, she realizes that everyone's bored, and she says, "Well, why don't we just pick somebody, and whoever we pick..." Or no, Phoebe says this. She said, "I'm gonna spin around, close my eyes, spin around."
Oh, that was way before Bonnie
Yep.
walked in.
It's when the awkwardness was broken up when Phoebe walked in.
Yes. Yes.
And that's when she says, "I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to spin in a circle, and whoever I point to has to pick something to do, and we have to do it." And the whole time I'm thinking she's going to land on Joey.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. She lands on Chandler. And she says, "Okay, Chandler, you pick, and we have to do it." And he says, strip poker."
Because what else is there to do?
Yes.
Right.
So they don't have cards, so they play Strip Happy Days game.
That's hilarious. And you have to get 4 cool points.
Five.
Oh,
Five.
5 cool points in order to have somebody strip.
Yes. And they all gang up on Joey.
Which is amazing.
It
because
is.
It was Joey's idea. This is when Bonnie gets there. She asks, "What are you all doing?" And Ross says, "We're playing Strip Happy Days game." And she says, "Oh, okay, let me catch up." And just starts taking off
Just
clothes.
takes her clothes off. Like, who does that?
Yeah. So they end up going to bed. They wake up the next morning, and Rachel is completely annoyed because apparently Ross and Bonnie were a little loud the night before.
That's gross.
Joey is asleep on the sand floor, and they have built a mermaid around him with gigantic boobs. It just looks hysterical.
And he wakes up and he's just like, boobs.
Yeah.
His facial expressions are so great. He's like, wait, what? Yeah.
Phoebe ends up breaking into her mom's best friend's apartment to return the picture.
And that was funny, too, because she kept getting stuck by the window.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it kept, like, falling on top of her so she couldn't get in. And then she kept telling the wind chime to shh.
And she thinks that the woman is not there. Anyway.
Right.
But she is there. And so she comes...
But then the woman shows up with a hanger to, like, try to get her
And so she explains that she took the picture because she knows that it's her father. And she says, that's not your father, that's Chuck Mangione.
And Phoebe goes, my father's Chuck Mangione.
So this conversation comes about where she says, I'm really sorry, I just wanted to learn more about my family. And there is a conversation that is had where her mom's friend says, the woman who raised you is not your mother, I'm your mother. And all I kept thinking was,
Dun dun dun.
how did Phoebe not realize? I don't know. The two women look so much alike and act so much alike, I would have been questioning.
Yeah, but it's Phoebe.
That's true.
If it was you, like, just pretend it was you. You wouldn't think somebody else was your mom when you...
Right.
No, but I look and act like my mom.
Right, but my niece acts just like me, and she's not my child,
Well,
so, you know.
Yeah.
There's that.
I don't know. I knew what was happening. That was such good casting.
Good casting there.
Good on you, casting directors. So, cut to, it's nighttime. Well, I guess it was nighttime when she broke into the apartment. So, cut to Rachel sitting out on the porch. And Bonnie comes up with Ross. Ross goes inside, and Bonnie is complaining about all of the sand in her hair. And so Rachel says, well, you know, I, for one, thought that you look beautiful when you had your head shaved. And Bonnie says, really? Because I've been thinking about shaving it again. And Rachel says, I think you should. Actually, come on, let's go do it right now. And so they go in, and they shave her head, and Ross is so weirded out by it.
Such an amazing move.
Yeah.
She's like, come on, touch it. And he's like, no.
I would do that exact same thing if I was in Rachel's situation.
He says, I can feel every bone in her skull. But I will say that Ross obviously does not actually love this woman.
No.
If something as trivial as shaving her head made him think twice about it.
It's not that trivial.
I think it's pretty trivial. It'll grow back its hair.
It would be like if they were together for a long time, I think, but because their relationship is still fresh,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe.
you didn't even talk to me about it first.
But they haven't been
that's a
together
rough
that
thing.
long. She should be able to do whatever she wants.
And he should be able to leave.
I agree with that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, he obviously doesn't love her.
Right. No. He only loves Rachel. He's only loved Rachel the entire series.
Right.
I think she should be able to do whatever she wants to some extent, but that's a pretty drastic thing.
No woman should shave her head unless you have cancer.
It would be easier, though.
I love all women, but it's just not a good look usually. Some women can pull it off. Like Halsey looks good with like short hair and shit.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yes, she looks good with short hair. I just watched the Meg the other night, and what's that Rose person's name? She looks great with short hair.
Demi Moore in G.I. Jane. She looked good.
Yes. Yes. I mean, but nobody looks like Demi Moore.
I don't know. I think I'm just proving that more women should shave their heads.
Maybe you are.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a good look for me.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna go shave my head anytime soon.
Yeah.
I don't look like Demi Moore.
No.
So,
No, and I'm just saying this is a new relationship. It's her body. So I feel like she shouldn't have to ask Ross's permission to shave her head.
no, and she didn't clearly, and she was very confident about it.
Although I do think that woman would look less weird if it was an actual shaved head and not a bald cap.
Well, yes.
Yeah, you're right, because that did make her look weird.
Yeah.
It was like her skull was too big or something.
Well, it's because she had so much hair to put
I
underneath.
know.
And I guess that's the other thing. Like, if I think of a woman shaving her head, I don't think of it being like when a man shaves his head and it's completely free of hair. I'm thinking more of like a buzz cut.
A buzz, yeah.
Yeah. No, she shaved it.
Mm-hmm. She sure did.
She shaved it. No, but she's, like, beautiful no matter what. So even with the shaved head, she still looked gorgeous.
Right.
Which is unfortunate.
So Ross approaches Rachel and says that Bonnie said that it was your idea to shave her head. And she said it wasn't my idea. Bonnie said she wanted to shave her head, so she shaved her head. And he said she said that you handed her the razor, which I thought was pretty funny.
Which I probably would do too.
Rachel basically says to him, just because I was mad at you didn't mean I stopped loving you. And he said, you love me? And she says, no. Which I love the backpedaling. So this brings them to their whole conversation of, like, what should we do now? And Ross kisses her, which of course he shouldn't because he is dating someone. But it's Ross and Rachel.
Yep, that doesn't matter.
I know.
It was Jim and Pam.
Jim and
they
Pam.
still cheated.
I think this moment in the series really defines, like, Ross and Rachel because, like, you see how much they care about each other, even though they had, like, that break. The break comes back so many times.
Right.
But I think this moment, like, really shows how much they cared about each other.
I agree and I disagree.
Okay.
Because the episode following this is the one where Rachel writes Ross that letter.
Yes.
And he needs to own up to the fact that he was the one who caused the breakup because he had sex with someone, which she considered cheating. And instead of just sucking it up and saying, like, they were back together. They were a couple again, which is all that he has been
he chose
wanting.
her door. We don't see in the end of the episode. It was a great ending of a season, by the way, because he just chose a door and nobody knew what door he chose.
Right, and it ends up being Rachel's door.
Rachel's door. So, like, it was a great ending of a season.
But it lasts an episode because he cannot just suck it up and take responsibility for it. And I'm not saying necessarily that he was completely at fault. All I'm saying is this is all that you have wanted, and you can't just take responsibility for it whether you actually believe it or not.
Right.
And so it's I feel like he does care a lot about her, but this goes back to Ross has a lot of growing to do. Because he can't just say, you're right, to get everything that he's ever wanted.
Correct. And I think had he done that, the show wouldn't have gone on as long as it did because, I mean, they talk about the break in almost every season that they
Are you saying he needs to take responsibility for what he did while they were on a break?
Yes, but
I disagree with that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he was completely at fault. I
think that if you tell someone that you want to take a break, you do not have the right to be upset about what they do after that.
But it was a break. It wasn't a break up.
Okay, but you are obviously saying that you don't want to commit to that person.
This is where the series goes.
I'm just saying, I don't feel bad for her that he slept with somebody else.
No, I'm on Team Ross on this, actually.
Yeah.
She says it can't happen anymore. They're on a break. He can do whatever he wants.
Yes.
Though he made a bad decision.
I'm not saying he's in the wrong for the break. I'm saying that he didn't read the letter. He says he says that he read the letter, and so he takes responsibility without realizing. Okay.
That actually is really funny though, because it comes back in like episode 4 or something of season whatever. That he didn't actually read the whole letter, and that whole scenario is hysterical.
Yeah, well, and that is actually the next episode. That's what I'm saying. Like, it goes directly from him wanting to be with her so badly to they're in bed, and he yells, "We were on a break." And I'm just saying, if that was something that he really, really wanted, you already took responsibility without realizing it. You already did that part.
I think it was a few episodes after that where they get into like a big fight again, and he's like, "Oh, fine by me," and he's like, "FYI, I didn't read the whole letter and everything," and she's like, "It doesn't happen to every man, and it isn't okay," or something like that.
No, but that was the season premiere of...
Was it? Was it the first episode?
Yeah, of season 4. It's the very first episode. It feels like it's been that long because of the hiatus, but it's that quick. So I'm not saying that he's at fault or that he should have taken responsibility. I'm saying at this point he already has.
Yeah, once they got back together, they should have just not brought it up anymore.
Right. And Rachel was the one who brought it up.
Yeah.
But
leave it to women to bring up to bad decisions.
Yeah.
We can just never let anything go, can we?
No, we don't.
The reason that I know that it happened in the next episode was because I just let it continue playing after I did this one. And I put that in the season premiere, Chandler immediately looks better.
Oh.
So he had to have gotten some type of help during the hiatus in terms of the drug use.
But that also brings me to the fact that in this episode, I think it was this episode, Chandler was talking to Monica about dating her or whatever, and she laughed, and she was like, "No, I could never date you because you're Chandler." And the whole scenario went, and he tried to, like, woo her the entire time, but in the later episodes, they end up, you know, together, obviously. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Friends.
Way to go, Abby.
Hi, this is Brad.
And this is Katie.
And we're the hosts of
Decomposition Podcast.
I think, considering the material we're working with, that language was neither shocking nor inappropriate.
It's
enough for me.
upsetting and delightful. Much like this song.
No, it's just rhyming nonsense.
Yeah. Here to hyperanalyze all your favorite terrible songs.
From Billy Joel to Taylor Swift,
And Pitbull to Kiss,
we break down what makes these songs so good.
while they're so bad.
This is a postmodern commentary on human existence.
Billy Shakespeare did write a whole bunch of sonnets. 154 to be exact. I am not suggesting that this is a good or artistic song in any way.
It's not good, but it's
great.
You can find us at decompositionpodcast.simplecast.fm.
Or subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app.
Check out our new episodes every Monday, and remember,
They're not guilty pleasures.
if you don't feel guilty.
That pretty much sums up the episodes, and a few more. So we'll move right into the random facts. So you guys might have heard of some of these, but I tried my best to find some that weren't common knowledge. The possible show titles before they ended up choosing Friends: Cafe, Friends Like Us, and 6 of 1.
That's so terrible.
I don't even get 6 of 1. It's like Party of 5, I guess.
6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
I literally just blew snot out of my nose.
I also have that Courtney Cox is just like Monica in real life, as everyone said that she had the neatest dressing room.
That makes sense. She seems like a neat person.
Monica was supposed to end up with Joey, but the audience's response to her and Chandler getting together was so overwhelming that they scrapped the idea.
That's a good idea.
The names of all 6 characters were inspired by the show All My Children. Phoebe's character was supposed to be a goth, and I cannot picture... No. So that was a good idea to just go with...
Hippie Phoebe is way better.
Yep, absolutely. The actor who played Gunther was a barista in real life, and his first line came after 33 episodes, and the line was, "Yeah." Jane Lynch auditioned for the role of Phoebe, as did Kathy Griffin. Ugh.
No.
No.
No, neither one of those would have been good.
Kelly, you'll like this one. Paul Rudd got the role of Mike because the casting director wrote "Dreamy" next to his name.
Agreed.
Yeah.
He's another one of those people that doesn't age.
That's true.
He's in my favorite movie. This is 40.
He's a sexy man. And he's funny as shit.
Yeah.
Why are you screaming in my ear?
The episode, the one where no one's ready, takes place entirely in Monica's apartment, and this was because the showrunners used a bottle episode format due to budget restrictions.
Can we just talk about their apartments for a second and why they have such luxurious apartments with their budget they have?
Well, I know that it's talked about that Monica's apartment was her grandmother's.
Right.
And she inherited it, and the price was grandfathered in.
Either way, it's still extravagant.
Yeah.
It's bigger than my house.
But that makes a little more sense. I don't really understand the guy's apartment.
Yeah, no. And Chandler pays all of it because Joey never paid him rent ever because he was an actor and he barely ever had a role in anything.
And I think that might be why Chandler's job was so ambiguous for a while. Because you couldn't say, well, he can't afford that on his salary,
right.
Because nobody really knew what he did.
Right. He was a transponder.
Yeah. But I can't remember what episode it was that they were talking about their jobs, and Joey says something about, well, you're an accountant, and he was like, I'm not.
People who would watch the show will understand the transponder comment.
Mm-hmm. So the show couldn't even show a condom wrapper for a long time during shooting, and there was a lot of animosity around that, especially with other shows. One of the comments that I read that was made was, they're masturbating on Seinfeld and we can't even show a condom wrapper.
Well, Dawson's Creek wasn't even allowed to say masturbating.
That's true.
They weren't?
No.
No.
They had to use the term walking the dog. Speaking of dogs, the big white dog statue actually belonged to Jennifer Aniston.
Wait, she owns that?
Yes, it was a good luck gift for her first day of shooting Friends.
I want that.
That's funny.
Cole Sprouse, who played Ben, Ross's son,
Yes.
had a huge crush on Jennifer Aniston and would forget his lines.
Aww.
Aww.
And he also felt like his role disappeared because Ross was an absent father.
Well, that's true.
Which is another reason why I don't like Ross. There's a lot of things that Ross does that just annoys me.
I think Ross in real life wouldn't have been an absent father, but the show wouldn't have thrived on him being...
I don't know. I just feel like they could have done a better job.
Maybe.
There's probably another side to that story. Maybe his ex-wife was a bee.
I don't know. We saw them for a long time. I mean, his ex-wife's new wife was kind of a bitch to him, but I think that it's kind of because she saw how he was.
Yeah, I mean, they got together when they named him Ben.
Yeah.
And that was the last time we saw them actually get together.
Courtney Cox is the only one to not receive an Emmy nod for the show.
Really?
Yes. And that upset me.
That upsets me also.
I think that she did a really, really good job with the show.
I love
like
her.
I said, she's a toss-up of my favorite characters between her and Phoebe.
See, I think Rachel and Phoebe are my favorites.
Janice's appearances on the show were kept completely secret from the studio audience.
Huh. So they had a studio audience, like it wasn't a laugh track?
No. So every time that she appeared, the audience's reaction was genuine.
Well, that's good to know.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. They kept her backstage, and then when she would walk onto the stage, they covered her with a black curtain so that nobody could see her arrive until the scene started.
Huh. Interesting.
Matt LeBlanc and Lisa Kudrow pushed really, really hard for a big reveal at the end that Joey and Phoebe were getting it on during the entire series. And I love this because Matt LeBlanc went so far as to wanting to reshoot scenes throughout the most memorable scenes of the series and just have he and Phoebe coming out of closets with their hair all messed up and stuff in the background. so that it kind of made it look like Easter eggs throughout the whole series that didn't actually happen. But the writers were like, no.
That would have been interesting.
Yes. Friends was one of the first shows to pay the male and female stars equally.
Oh, good
That's
for them.
awesome.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, honestly, they needed to.
Right.
Because I think that they all played equal roles in that show. It really was
Correct.
a true ensemble cast. You really didn't have a star.
Correct. Agreed.
Yeah, that's true.
And the creators knew early on that Ross and Rachel would end up together. They basically said that they weren't going to spend years and years jerking the audience around just to pull the rug out from under them at the end.
Well, they should have ended up together, which they did, so...
Spoiler alert, Abby!
Sorry.
Wait, what?
If nobody has seen the episodes, you're about 10 years past, so...
Yeah, I figure if they're listening to this...
Okay, but
probably-
wait a second. Ross and Rachel? Didn't Ross marry Joey? I mean, no,
Wait,
that's
what?
not what I meant. Didn't Rachel marry Joey?
No.
No.
Did they date?
Yes.
Okay.
For like a hot second.
Okay, sorry.
No, Ross and Joey did not date.
They... Another
That's not
spoiler
what I
alert.
meant. I mean, they might have been a good couple, though. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So, we're going to go into our new segment now that we
Yay!
are calling Listener Laughs. So, we're going to try every episode to put a question out there that has something to do with the episode, but loosely based on the episode. And this week's question was, what is an embarrassing moment that you've had with a friend? And we're going to have Kelly read some of our responses.
Okay. So, Skeptical Skeptics podcast said, my buddy once mooned my girlfriend, wife-to-be, and a friend of ours, but didn't do a good job cleaning himself properly.
Disgusting.
Yikes. Okay, then someone else said, I have a friend that I hate shopping with. She always says something stupid to the cashier. One trip, she bought birdseed and asked the lady how long it would take for the birds to grow. She's the same way at restaurant. We went to KFC once, and she asked the cashier in a really loud voice, how big are your breasts? I just wanted to disappear. And if she listens to this podcast, she's going to know exactly who is snitching on her.
Yes, because if we got an email, we assumed that it was because you wanted to remain anonymous. So, we're not releasing names on those.
Yeah. Except for a first name on this one.
Yes.
So, my name is Richard. It's not our Richard.
Right.
And so is my dad's. Rich Jr. is what I went by as a kid. Most of my friends growing up knew me by this, but there's always that one friend. He always insisted on calling me Little Dick. That was okay when it was around people who knew me personally, but when he picked me up at the airport holding a sign that read, Welcome home, Little Dick, it was a little much.
Yeah, those are pretty bad, but I do have to say that I'm definitely going to use the how big are your breasts lines at the chicken
For
shops.
sure.
Um,
For sure.
Me and my friend Kate in college, we worked at Subway, and somebody prank called one time and asked what kind of meat we had between our buns. And the owner got on the phone and she's like, we don't tolerate this kind of stuff. But it was really funny.
I had a similar experience with a friend to Skeptical Skeptics podcast. I had a friend who decided to flash a semi-driver when we were driving down the road, and the semi-driver ended up to be my uncle. She was my best friend who went to a lot of family functions with me.
Wait, your friend flashed a semi-driver?
uncle. Yes.
Who is your uncle?
Yes. He was on his way home, driving his truck, and she said, pull up alongside this guy, and flashed her boobs at him.
Oh my god.
And it was my uncle.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. Alright, so let's head right into our polls, Kelly.
Alright, so we had a poll about which episode was the best, and the one with Ross's tan was 22%, the one with the cop was 11%, the one at the beach was 44%, and the one where no one is ready was 23%.
I love the one with Ross's tan.
Yes.
I do too.
Agreed.
Then we had a poll that was, how did you feel about Rachel and Joey being an item? Loved it, no more Ross was 20%, and then hated it, Ross and Rachel forever, and didn't care much were both 40%.
Kelly, I want to point out that the one with Ross's tan, he said something about, I counted Mississippi.
My favorite state.
Yes,
Yeah.
your favorite state.
That was my favorite part of that episode. He's like, I was counting Mississippi. All right. So, favorite episodes or moments? Taylor Ray Paul said the one with the rumor, the one where Ross and Will, Brad Pitt, tells Rachel at Thanksgiving that they started a rumor in high school about her being a hermaphrodite.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Ashley Fryer said pivot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
Iconic.
Kara Greer said the one where no one is ready, and she said Kelly understands why.
Yes.
Because she is the most impatient person in the world. She hates waiting on people. And she said the best part is Joey as Chandler. Could I be wearing any more clothes?
Yes. Agreed.
And Leanna Peterson, who Chad's playing Call of Duty with right now, she said Ross and Rachel were on a break. Allie L said the one with the embryos, season 4, but the
Oh.
apartment. And she said, at You're Gonna Die Alone, I know them all. Hee hee. Also, the one where everyone finds out, season 5. They don't know that we know that they know we know they know.
Yes.
You're Gonna Die Alone said whatever episode it was that they do the trivia game.
Yes.
That's so fun. No Context podcast said my favorite bit is actually when Phoebe meets Mike's parents and she talks about getting spit in her mouth by a pimp. I tend to rewatch the series up to that point and not watch the rest.
That is a good episode.
Yeah.
Ask for Cast said 1, when Rachel broke the lazy boy and thought angels fixed it. The whole episode was awesome. 2, when Joey found his shoe in the Lost and Found at the cafe.
I don't know
3,
that one.
Let's Play Bamboozle.
Yes.
4, trivia episode for the apartment or the rooster. 5, fridge broke so Joey had to eat everything. And then she also said, this is Missy writing, by the way. I don't think the other two even like the show Friends. Also, all-time best one was the cheesecake episode. And she sent a gift that says, oh, yay, look, there's a piece that doesn't have flour on it.
I loved that episode, too.
When they're eating the cheesecake off the
Yep.
floor. Yes. So good.
Drinking with Nerds said, it's just a side story of an episode, but my favorite is when Rachel and Joey force each other to read Cujo and Little Woman.
Yes.
And it ends with Joey wanting to put Little Woman in the freezer because it upset him so much.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Okay, favorite character. Lauren H. Logan said, my research group made a bunch of Friends memes and someone photoshopped our faces into the characters' bodies. Of course I was Phoebe because I'm also a be my own unique person type of gal. And she also said Phoebe because she does her own thing and is confident in who she is. Also, I have a huge crush on Ross. I love a good dino guy.
Yeah. Also, this is going to come out way after this is announced, but Lauren H. Logan is our commenter who won our mini Bluetooth speaker.
Woohoo! No Context Podcast said, not Ross. We spend the majority of an episode talking about Ross, and I try my best to 12 angry men my way into everyone agreeing with me that Ross is the worst. I would say Joey. The rest don't deserve Joey.
Yeah.
Belinda Holman says, Joey Tribbiani, he is just funny. TV Tangents says, Phoebe, I aspire to be her. I'm not even close. Bodis Tipplers says, Joey, 1, he's a bit of a sex idiot. 2, he's super loyal. 3, he's kind. 4, he loves ducks and chickens. 5, he appreciates sandwiches. 6, Drake Ramore. 7, he's quick to forgive. 8, he learns from his mistakes and evolves while still being a bit of a sex idiot.
Yep, I agree with that. And I think that is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I feel like all of the characters kind of evolved, and even though Ross did evolve, he was probably the least evolved. He pretty much is the same character from beginning to end.
Yeah, I think Joey's my favorite, and I think if I had to choose one that represented me, I would say Joey, because he's kind of dumb in a goofy way, kind of like Rose.
Yeah.
I think Rachel would be my favorite.
I cannot choose between Monica and Phoebe. I just can't do it.
I would have said you're more of a Rachel because you were a Blanche.
Who?
Brittany.
Oh.
Because I used to be a slut, apparently.
I didn't say that. Somebody else said that.
Rachel in the series isn't very promiscuous as much as Blanche is.
Okay, but she was making out with that guy in the blackout.
Yeah,
that
Paolo.
she just met in the hallway.
Okay, yeah, you got a point.
Paolo.
I make out with a lot of guys.
That's funny.
All right, well, I think that about does it for this episode. Abby, thank you so much for coming back.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, if we need you, we'll talk. I don't know that we have a guest for our Laverne and Shirley episode yet.
Well, I might be that.
We also would like to thank our newest patron, Brittany DeSandro, for pledging $3 a month. Brittany, thank you very much, and we look forward to talking to you next week. We will be back next time, and we will be talking about Breaking Bad.
We're going to teach you how to make meth.
We are not.
I'm just kidding. We are not doing that.
We are not going to teach anybody how to make meth. We already taught
We do
people how
have
to get away
chemistry
with
majors,
murder.
though.
This is a comedy kind of podcast, so that was a joke. I don't know. I think it's funny. I don't know if other people do.
All right, well, we will be back soon, everybody.
Bye.